Hello there, my name is Antwon Lambert, and today I am going to teach you about Rwanda. Not the Rwandan genocide, Rwanda before the genocide. Yeah, so you're probably like, who cares about that? Well, I do. So I'm going to teach you about the historical background of Rwanda. I want to talk to you about Rwanda and imperialism and stuff like that. So, yeah. Well, Rwanda is a very small country located in Africa, smaller than Maryland. Due to its many volcanic peaks, Rwanda's soil was great. There were also many water sources in Rwanda, such as lakes and rivers, that provided a source of water and transportation. There were also many hills in Rwanda. Now, Rwanda is located near the equator, but that does not mean its temperature is extremely hot. Because of its high elevation, Rwanda's temperature is actually pretty mild and comfortable. People have always viewed Rwanda as the land of 1,000 hills. So, there were three major groups in Rwanda: the Tutsi, the Hutu, and the Twa. The original residents of Rwanda were the Twa. The Twa were hunters and gatherers. Poor Twa. They were eventually taken over by the Hutu, who were farmers from West Central Africa. Then karma kicked in and the Hutu were taken over by the Tutsi. The Tutsis migrated to Rwanda in the 1300s. Because the Twa and Hutus were already living in Rwanda, the Tutsis overthrew Rwanda and took it for its own. They conquered Rwanda and created a higher and lower group system. The next person to take over Rwanda in the 1600s was King Ndori. After he conquered Rwanda, he created a military and a unified state. Continuing forward in Rwanda's history, in 1858, a European explorer named Hanning Speke visited Rwanda and discovered Lake Victoria and the Rwandians. And moving even a little more forward, in 1890, Rwanda became a German colony. So this is basically what happened. Before World War I, all these European countries were trying to gain power and get stronger. So because Germany was behind, they were going to go get more countries for Germany, but there were none left. So it's like going into a cookie jar with only crumbs left. So what did the Germans do? They scavenged for countries, found Rwanda, and they said, well, it's better than nothing. Now don't get me wrong, Rwanda isn't that bad. I mean, there's a lot of water sources for transportation and cash crops and like coffee and there's people, so it's not that bad. In Rwanda, the interesting and unique culture is called the Rwandian culture. Not only did people in Rwanda follow this culture, but some people in the Congos also did, which is the neighboring country of Rwanda. One of the main points in Rwanda's culture was the sign of the cattle. The cattle was the sign of wealth, and this led to many social problems, which we'll get into later. Rwanda's culture was pretty awesome. They made cool pottery out of cow poop, and they had really cool dances. One of the cool dances they had there was the Shari Guga, also known as the cow dance. So, as you can see, Rwanda is pretty obsessed with cows. Rwanda's common meals often included beans, bananas, sweet potatoes, and sorghum. The religion and language in Rwanda was shared by all three groups, the Tutsi, the Hutu, and the Twa. All three groups served a specific role in the society, and they each have a different style of clothing, so it's pretty cool. Okay, so let's get into some problems of Rwanda. Now, there actually wasn't that many problems before the Belgians came. Freaking Belgians! So, Belgium took over Rwanda after Germany's defeat in World War I. The League of Nations was like dividing and putting back the pieces of Africa, saying, okay, you can have this, blah, 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 blah. So the League of Nations was like, hey, Belgium, you can have Rwanda. And Belgium was like, okay. So the Belgians come into Rwanda, and it's like, oh gosh, here come the Belgians now, you know. It's like one country to another, you know, poor Rwanda, this small little country can't defend himself or like stand up to all these big countries because it's so small, and this is why it's called imperialism. Okay, so Rwanda and Belgium, right. So Belgium came into Rwanda, and Belgium became best buds with the Tutsis. I mean, not best buds, but like mutually friendly. So the Tutsis were like, hey, so we have lords like leading the society right now, you should keep it because we're really good. And the Belgians were like, okay, let's do it, like, you're pretty cool, let's do it. So basically, the Tutsis were viewed as like the highest ranking of the three groups, because not only did they have the most cattle, but they were also like kings and lords of Rwanda. And Belgium let them have that. They were like, okay, that's cool with us, you can participate in local affairs, etc. This led to social tensions. I mean, can you imagine being the Hutu? The Hutu, poor Hutu and Twa, they're like bossed around, like go to work, Hutu, make more cash crops for us to make money. I mean, granted, the Hutu also got some economic growth from that, but you know, whatever. So they're like getting bossed around, like work, and then the Tutsis are over here like lords and stuff, getting praised. It's like social tensions are created. Like the Hutus are like, well, why are they better than us? And then the Tutsis are like, well, you need to work because we need cash crops. So there. So that's how social tensions were created. And the thing about this social tension is that all three groups were like pretty much the same. I mean, they were all really the same people, but some were treated differently than others, and that's really where that tension came from. Continuing on. Okay, so as we've discussed, in 1899, Germany took control of Rwanda. After Germany's defeat in World War I, Belgium got in. So basically, both Germany and Belgium followed the same rule of indirect rule. Both countries used, you know, Rwanda's previous form of government slash leadership slash lord thingy, and, you know, they kept that in there, which was pretty nice of them. So imperialism occurred in Rwanda, and, you know, poor Rwanda was kind of getting, like, you know, led by, you know, they couldn't really do anything about it. Like, what were they gonna do, you know? So that was imperialism, and there were negative and positive effects of that. Mostly negative effects, sadly, for Rwanda. One of these negative effects was the culture in Rwanda. So in Rwanda, you know, the religion was dramatically changed when all these countries were coming in and putting their influences in the country. So sadly, Rwanda's previous religion was kind of tore apart by all these countries coming into Rwanda. Well, not all these countries, but Belgium and Germany. This took away from Rwanda's roots, and the Rwandans couldn't do anything about it. So another negative effect of imperialism was starvation, and starvation was caused because as the Hutus were creating all these cash crops, all the land, all the farming land was used to create cash crops, which was good, right? It led to economic growth for the Hutus, which kind of, you know, bumped it up in the social ladder. But what it did is it didn't allow for crops to be grown that needed to be, like, eaten as food, like vegetables, carrots, etc., beans. So what were they gonna do? Nothing, because, you know, the freaking Belgium's making them build and make cash crops. So there wasn't enough land for the vegetables, etc. to be grown, to be eaten, so starvation occurred, and it was awful. Another negative effect was clans. Clans started to rally up in Rwanda, and one of the most powerful clans was the Nyiginya. I don't know how to pronounce it. And it was the Tutsis clan, and they were the most powerful, and they kind of like took over people, and yeah, it was bad. And then, as we talked about before, the social tensions between the three groups was really one of the worst impacts of imperialism. And lastly, when Belgium came into Rwanda, they tried to promote nationalism. They tried to boost the morale of the energy and, you know, the Go Rwanda vibe, which did not happen. You know, there was no one like that. No one was like that, you know. So that was great, right? Really good, really nice of Belgium to do. You know, boost that morale, get everyone to be really motivated for their country. But what this did is something bad. So basically what happened is, you know, all these different groups in Rwanda, the clans, they all started challenging each other as to who was the most Rwandan. So, you know, they tried to like challenge each other to see who was the best, who was the most, you know, fit for Rwanda, etc., which is really bad. That created tension even more, and hostility. Oh, and a positive effect of imperialism, which I briefly talked about, is that cash crops are being grown, right? And that was really great because it provided economic power and, you know, good economics for not only Belgium, but for the Hutus as well. Because the Hutus were creating the cash crops, which then boosted them up in that social ladder that we were talking about. So here's the Tutsi, here's the Hutus, you know, it started to kind of get up there. So there was less, like, social tensions and, like, competition. Now, sadly, the Twa were still all the way down here, so sorry. So as you can see, imperialism can do good and bad things in all countries, really. In my opinion, imperialism in Rwanda was negative. It was not good. I mean, Rwanda was really small, there wasn't a lot that people could do, and, you know, quite frankly, there was a lot of negative effects from it. And what I find so interesting is that, you know, you think that these three groups, you know, they would try to come together and not fight back, but at least come together to kind of like stay as, you know, Rwanda, and kind of stay strong. But throughout these imperialistic ages in Rwanda, they slowly grew further and further apart, which I found kind of odd, so that's pretty interesting. So thanks, imperialism, for really messing up Rwanda. Yeah, so Rwanda's pretty interesting. I hope you guys learned a lot. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, Rwanda. Go Rwanda. So, now you know about Rwanda. Way back in the day, you could be like, I know about Rwanda. Yes, I do. That's gonna help you in life. Trust me. Being able to say that is gonna get you a job. $1 million job. So, thank you very much. Go Rwanda. Bye.